Laura had spent the evening with Dana. She came home, checked on Ella, who was asleep, and went to bed. Ella was away that weekend at Carol's house. The house was quiet. Laura wanted quiet. She woke just after 2 a.m. to the sound of movement in her hallway. Before she could process what she was hearing, a figure appeared in her bedroom doorway, dark clothing. Gloves. A ski mask. Something in his hand that she realized, with the specific clarity fear sometimes produces, was a weapon. He moved quickly. He struck her. He bound her wrists with zip ties, pre-looped, ready, prepared in advance, and pulled a cloth bag over her head. His voice was altered, deliberately low, processed somehow, like a recording played through a filter. He took her phone. Demanded her passcode. Used it to disable her security system, delete the recent camera footage, and lock the back door behind him. Then he left her on the back porch. Bound, disoriented, told not to move until she heard a specific signal, or she would not survive the night. Laura lay there for just under 30 minutes, and even in that state, hurt, cold, unable to see, she was thinking. During the attack, there had been a moment. When he lifted her from the bed, the grip, the angle, the specific way her weight was handled. She had been pregnant in 2012. She remembered Daniel helping her up from the couch in the late months because she couldn't manage alone. She remembered exactly how that felt. That it felt like this. She said nothing. She understood that if he realized she had recognized him, the night would end differently. So she waited. Still. Until she heard the signal. Minutes later, her phone rang. Daniel's voice, back to normal now, frantic and breathless, telling her he had driven past and seen someone leaving through her back door. He found her on the porch. He untied her. He called 911. He held her hand while the police arrived. He looked exactly like someone who had just saved her life. The first officer on scene noted immediately that Daniel's behavior didn't match the situation. He was agitated in a way that read as performance rather than shock. He told the officer to do his job. When investigators separated everyone on scene and spoke to Laura alone, she told them immediately. She said, "I think it was him." The investigator believed her without hesitation. She later described that moment as the first time in years she had told someone something and not been made to feel uncertain about it. After years of being told her memory was unreliable, being believed felt, in her words, like being allowed to breathe again. Part 5. What they found. What investigators assembled over the following days was the kind of evidence that leaves no reasonable path to innocence. Hardware store surveillance footage from 2 days before the attack showed Daniel purchasing zip ties. His face clearly visible. Payment on his debit card. In his apartment, a partial bag of matching zip ties and a cut segment of one. Forensic analysis confirmed the cut piece matched the restraints on Laura's wrists with the specificity of a physical signature. His car's GPS placed him near Laura's house in the hour before and after the attack. His apartment building's cameras showed him returning after the attack, leaving 4 minutes later in different clothing, carrying a bag that was never recovered, and his internet search history, voice alteration software. How long it takes to render someone unconscious through strangulation. How to bypass a home security app. How to write a convincing medical diagnosis letter, each search timestamped. Each one a step in a plan that had been in progress for weeks. When confronted, Daniel claimed he had never purchased zip ties. When asked about the voice alteration searches, he said he had been exploring a podcast idea. The evidence made every answer irrelevant. He wasn't explaining himself. He was performing innocence for a room that had already stopped believing him. Police initially arrested him on a lesser charge, unauthorized access to a digital account, after discovering a hidden folder on his phone containing secret photographs of Laura and screenshots of her private messages. The charge secured him before he could destroy further evidence. It bought investigators time. By the time the full case was built, Daniel faced 14 counts. Home invasion. Kidnapping. Aggravated assault. False imprisonment. Stalking. Family violence. Possession of a weapon during the commission of a felony. He pleaded guilty to all 14. Part 6, Psychological Analysis. Daniel Hargrove's behavior across this case follows a pattern that forensic psychologists recognize immediately, even without attaching a clinical label. It begins with what's sometimes called love bombing. The overwhelming early devotion. The attentiveness that feels like a dream before it becomes a mechanism of control. That intensity creates emotional dependency before either person fully understands what's been established. By the time the relationship shifts, the other person is already deeply invested. As Laura's independence grew, Daniel's sense of control collapsed. The escalation that followed, the physical incidents, the systematic gaslighting, the erosion of her certainty, was a response to that collapse. Coercive control doesn't operate through violence alone.